for Shane Warne. And he's done it.
We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Aussies Abroad on the B Sample Sports Network. As you guys know, we're going to separate our interviews from our show now. Otherwise, our show will be 3 hours long. And what a show we have for you this week with Lucas Big Daddy Browne coming on the show to talk about his heavyweight boxing fights throughout the last 15 odd years. And what a guest we have. Please welcome Lucas Big Daddy Browne. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much, boys. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Oh, mate, they tell me you were a Parramatta junior back in the day who turned boxer from Western Sydney who now lives in WA. Did young Lucas see himself being a heavyweight champion?
To be honest, I probably don't know if I should say this or not, but the three things I wanted to be when I was growing up was a famous singer, the heavyweight champ, and a hitman. They're my 3 things.
Oh, fair.
So, I've gotten 2 out of 3 so far, so we've got hitman on the list to still come.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know, Lucas and I have friends who've done a second show, and Lucas actually did spend a bit of time with Australian Idol. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it was just like I saw the first Australian Idol and I thought, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I can sing, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh my God, what a great singer, but especially being me, 6'5", covered in tats, people don't expect me to sing basically. So when I do sing, they're like, oh, that's good, so I can hold a tune. I haven't done it in quite a few years, and I was thinking to myself, I might sort of get back and get some lessons and stuff like that. You never know. I could be on one of those shows, the Masked Singer or something, you know what I mean? You never know what happens.
What's your go-to if you're at karaoke? What's your go-to?
I personally, I like all the old school R&B, all the Boyz II Men and Jodeci and all that sort of stuff. But the one that I do like is Love Rears Its Ugly Head by Living Colour. It's just, it's sort of an in-between song. Yeah. It's a bit of rocky, but you got the black dude singing it, so he's got the nice soulful voice and harmonies and stuff. So yeah, it's got a bit of everything.
Sure.
Love it. That's cool.
Nice, man. Nice. Yeah. Which gets us so smoothly onto the next question, which I have for you there. So obviously, supremely talented athlete. What made you choose boxing over the NRL scene?
Again, I'm one of those people that just say it exactly how it is. I just like punching people in the face. There's no 2 ways about it. I grew up in a very aggressive, sort of violent person. Obviously, if needed, I didn't just get around belting everyone, but if there was a reason for it, I'd fucking love it and I'd jump into it. You know what I mean? So, if I was getting picked on, like I was in year 7 getting picked on by year 12s because I was a smart ass, don't get me wrong, I know exactly why they were picking on me. But I had to go back. Yeah, I never backed down from anyone. I just loved having that combativeness, you know what I mean? So I got too big and too violent for soccer, and that's what led me into footy when I was 15. So our school team wasn't exactly something that you'd be proud of. We'd get beaten 72-0 nearly every game, but we'd always win the fight, you know, so that was the main thing. So, yeah, it was just something that I always sort of wanted to get into because I've had many fights on the street. I did 13 years of security, so I've been around all that. But, people ask me, do I get nervous going into a fight? And I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, there's no knives, guns, chairs, guys hitting you from behind, all that sort of stuff. So it's quite calming. It's calming being in a ring. It's a controlled environment. There's 2 people with the same intention. the crowd love it, and you get paid for it. So yeah, it just suits.
It's good.
Yeah,
For sure. Do you think that natural kind of aggression and ability helped you in other areas then? So in your boxing
Yeah,
career,
definitely.
obviously there's
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try and instill it into my boys as well. My youngest boy is 17 now. He's a massive bastard. Like his mum's a 5'4" Filipino, so like they've got my genes for sure.
Your
They're
genes, man, yeah.
6'4" and 120 kilos. But
Yeah.
he doesn't. He's just light. Like he's I wouldn't say soft. You know what I mean? But he's not me. I wanted to go in and bash everyone, like legally, of course. Don't get me wrong. I want to legally make sure that they went off the field injured. But he's just like, nah, I'll just play basketball with my mates. I'm like, fuck, you know, like, yeah, you're the biggest bastard in the field. Like, come on, you know. So at the very least, my 19-year-old is there at the moment. He's 6'4", 112, but fast. So he's
nice.
He's like if you want to compare him to someone, he's like a Sonny Bill,
boy.
you know.
Yeah.
He's a big forward, but he can also play in the backs.
Very nice.
Yeah.
He's playing. It's rugby union over here. It's not league, so he's playing for the Colts, which is the under 21s, and also second grade and first grade. So that's one under the force.
Yeah, nice.
And he's played he's made the under 19s force, sort of the WA side thing. So like he's in and amongst it, and I think this year was his year to sort of really get his head into it, where I was like that when I was 15. Like, I just wanted to kill everyone at 15. So they thought I was weird, but I think they're starting to get it a bit more now that they're getting older.
Right, so you sort of stepped into the ring at the age of 30, and you won the heavyweight world title at the age of 37 against Ruslan Chegiov. Please tell us about that fight and how it sort of came about. I've seen highlights of it. I know what happened, but tell the people sort of how it went about and how you felt afterwards too.
All the things that people don't see is obviously the probably the weirdest part of it all as well. I got the fight, and they said to me they want to go fight another guy. They gave me like 10 grand to sort of stand back and all that sort of stuff. So like, yes, I got a world title fight, but I was extremely inactive before that as well, because of they asked me to do that. Then obviously after the fight, I went through all the bullshit with the drugs and all the rest of it. But people don't see how much it sort of takes out of you and all the behind the scenes stuff. They see what's on camera and what I obviously want to show them, but they forget all the rest of it. Mate, going to Chechnya, which is basically Russia, but going to Chechnya, I knew that, number one, the guy putting on the show was the president of the country. You know what I mean? So best mates with the actual fighter I was fighting. And I thought, number one, I'm under the pump no matter how you look at it. Number two, Russia isn't exactly known for their
fairness.
The right word, yeah.
Yes, the fairness of sport.
Stuff, yeah.
We'll say it for you, yeah.
Yeah, mate. At that point, they were under a massive amount of scrutiny, and I think they got kicked out of the Olympics or something.
They
like
did.
Like,
the same year. Yeah.
So I personally knew that going over. So I paid for the testing myself, knowing this. So when the test came back dirty, I'm like, why the hell would I go all the way to Russia, smuggle something in the country,
and
take
it,
and
use it,
knowing that I paid for the testing? You know, like it didn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So going through court and lie detector tests and hair follicle samples and all this sort of crap, I eventually got cleared.
Yeah.
But like, give it 8 months later, I was here. Finally made it to a world title. Was supposed to go maybe here, and I went all the way back down to the bottom. So
that's just
my very next fight.
It's costing you money, time after time after time to fight this. Yeah.
But my not just boxing, obviously, but my life. It ruined my life and boxing. Like I went from finally making some sort of money. I made $250 for that fight. Now, take away all the percentages and all the shit, I probably made about 180.
Yeah.
Then you got to pay off all the shit that you're doing, like, all the debts and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But like my next fight was $3,000 back in Australia. Let's fight for $3,000. Like it doesn't make sense.
Around, hey?
Yeah.
So here I am, world champion or former world champion, all this sort of stuff, and I'm getting paid $3,000. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
that's wrong.
Yeah, a lot of people don't see that stuff, and like. There was probably 3 years where I fought like twice in 3 years. So I'm supposed to be at my peak. I finally made world champion, and I'm not fighting on being active. It's just silly.
Yeah. That's not good, is it? Look, I always wondered, when you win the title, do you get to keep it or do you have to give it back? Like, do you have your own replica?
Yeah, on that night, what they're supposed to do technically is make a belt for the night. So whoever wins it takes it home. Unfortunately, it was his belt. So I took 3 photos and gave it back to him. And they said, "Darren, we'll mail it out to you."
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here I am 2 years later. I finally got the belt 2 years later. So I do actually have it.
No
and
way.
no one can take that off.
That's good. Yeah, nice.
But that's 2 years, man. 2 years of going through all the bullshit
ridiculous.
backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Like the amount of what do you call them? Trolls and messages, and not so much death threats, but like
Everyone hates on you. Yeah.
The amount of shit I copped and still cop every day is unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just wrong.
Something we'll have to share maybe off air then.
Sorry, I swear that's just how I talk.
That's fine. No, we're good with that.
No. I would love to hear it. That's all.
Cool.
But you also dabbled in the MMA, and you had a battle with Daniel Cormier, right? Back in your youthful days.
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
Basically, when I first started, just before I turned 30, literally 2 months before I turned 30, I had my first fight. Now, I just jumped straight into the cage. So I'd come from literally training 1 day a week with a mate of mine who wanted to know more for his personal training. So I just went with him and said, I'll come with you. And the guy that was training us was the guy that ran the CFC, which was the big cage fighting championships in Sydney at the time. So, as I said, training once a week with him for about 2 hours, and I thought, I'll jump in.
Easy.
So I convinced him to put me in, and I did. I went in against Jeff King, lovely fella. And it was after that I started training at his gym with like Tama Tahuna, Jamie Tahuna, and all the boys at AFG in Penrith. Yeah, so where all the heavyweights live, apparently. That's where I met Tai Tuivasa when he was 16, and we started training together. And Tyson Pedro, obviously his dad. So it was a great mix of fellas to get involved with. So from me, all I wanted was a belt. I didn't care what it was, in MMA, in kickboxing, and in boxing. That was my initial thought about fighting.
Yeah.
So I jumped straight in with relatively, fuck all training.
Yeah.
I jumped straight in. My natural sort of talent and strength come out, and I won the fight, and away we went. So within the first month, I'd had the MMA fight. 2 weeks later, I had a kickboxing fight, and the week after, I had a boxing fight. And that's how I started my combat career,
So obviously,
did you piss anyone off then? Like, obviously, you've come in, relatively speaking, natural and just been better than anyone else. Did that step on anyone else's toes?
Not at that stage, no, because it was pretty, especially MMA. MMA was pretty new, I suppose, and it was just good to have other people involved. I didn't talk shit either, so I don't sit there and try and badmouth anyone. I do my thing and punch people and go home, So
good.
Yeah, I didn't really piss anyone else. Oh, not that I know of, anyway.
That's it.
Nice. Now, look, speaking about stepping on toes, I'm going to get your take on NRL guys coming in, having their $600,000 seasons or more, and then coming in and spending the off season pretending they can fight. I know you've got a take on this. Tell us how you feel about your gals and your sunnies and all those guys coming in and thinking they can punch on and make a lot more money.
It's okay. There's two ways to look at it. There's the good way, which I think it's actually a good thing because it brings eyes to boxing and it brings other people's eyes, not just pure boxers. So like you'll get the chicks that will follow Sonny Bill and want to see Sonny Bill with his shirt off. You'll get all the older fellas and the mums and all this sort of stuff. So it brings eyes to boxing, which I think is great. The problem, and the only problem I have, is that I got paid $100,000 for the Gallon fight, which that's great money. Don't get me wrong, but he's getting 1.2 million.
That's
now.
wrong.
If I'm the former world heavyweight champion and the only heavyweight champion we've ever had from Australia. Why am I getting 100,000 and he's getting that 1.2?
Other way,
definitely.
Absolutely,
not really. I mean, like
split it.
he can make money. He brought the bums to seats. He's the man and the eye and in the media and all that sort of stuff. Like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. But why can't I get 300 grand?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, I don't mind that they get paid. Like, it's like Jake Paul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The dude's getting paid 10
right.
times more than I ever will. Yeah. Good luck to him for making money. And especially in these times, in this day and age with COVID and all the crap, like, I don't care if you're making money. Good on you. But, like, why can't I make some as well? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my only issue. Yeah.
Yes, it seems a bit
That's
backwards that we're going about it that way, but obviously they're still putting asses in seats and people are still turning up for it. So
That's right. Yeah. It's a great thing for boxing, and I think more eyes are on boxing, which is great. But like, I know for a fact that here in Perth, for example, the boys that want to fight, they have to sell tickets to be able to get paid.
Yeah.
So like, I've had one guy who's a mate who didn't sell many tickets, and he literally got paid $80 for a fight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's So I understand 100 grand's a massive step up from all that sort of stuff. You know, but 1.2 is a nice big jump.
Exactly.
Even nicer step up. Even nicer step up.
Yeah. So
you
still
touched on there.
I don't own a house. Yeah, I don't own my house. I've got my car. I'm debt free, all that sort of stuff. So I'm not struggling, but like, I'm not rolling in money either. I think Wikipedia said I'm worth something like $20 million. I'm like, fuck, I wish.
Aren't you lucky? Yeah. I wish.
I'm a normal fella. I know exactly who I am. I talk to everyone constantly. I'm not trying to big note anyone or anything, but I'm good at punching people in the face, and I love that. It's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You ain't it. Good, man. Good. You touched on there about money in these times, but also in these times where you're over in Perth, so you've got a little bit of freedom comparatively. How does that go with training? How are you doing your training?
Honestly, us here in Perth, we've had 2 lockdowns the entire time. So when it first started, I think we had a week.
Yeah.
And then there was some sort of breakout, or what do you want to call it? And it was literally like 4 or 5 days.
Nice.
Other than that, we've been completely normal. No masks, no restrictions, no lockdowns in houses, nothing.
I miss that, man. I tell you.
Dude, it hasn't affected us at all. But when it comes to traveling, that's where we're screwed, because the borders are closed.
Yeah, right.
So again, good and bad. We haven't had anything come in, but at the same time, we can't do anything either. So we're not restricted.
Surely there's a slight competitive advantage then, right? Then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're over here. We're good. Like, literally, how long has it been since like Sydney's been in lockdown for something like 10 weeks or something like that?
At least, yeah. So here in the ACT, we've been about 9 weeks already. So that's unreal. Like, we've had 0, so I can go to the beach any day I want, stuff like that. So like, I miss that, man. Yeah,
it's not a thing here, which is good, because I don't actually think it's a thing, to be honest. But that's a different story.
Might give us some feathers,
nice. Look, your next fight obviously was supposed to be on the 30th of October, but as we've spoken about with the COVID and the lockdown and everything going on, we won't touch on that at the moment because that's not happening. Did you happen to catch the Fury Wilder fight on Sunday, our time, and what did you think? Because I personally loved it as a boxing tragic. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, mate, 100%. I get asked all the time if I watch this and watch that. I literally don't watch a thing. Sometimes I'll watch some UFC and maybe some rerun UFC, but I don't actually watch sports, let alone boxing. So yeah, I was very excited to go watch this with one of my mates. We had like a breakfast and a barbecue and shit like that. But it was good to see, I think, for specifically heavyweights, of course, but for boxing in general, I think it was great. Like, it'll go down as one of the great fights because Fury got knocked down as well and all that sort of stuff. Like, if he just dominated him, it wouldn't have been any good. But the fact that it was a nice, good backwards and forwards was the best thing that could ever happen. So I haven't been excited for fights like that since sort of Mike Tyson times, you know what I mean? So I quite liked it. I thought it was good. I think it's great. Same as I put it on the same as Ruiz beating Anthony Joshua. Like, it just shakes shit up. You know what I mean? You've got one guy who just dominates all the time. It's boring. So at the very least, you got someone else coming through and dominating. It's a great thing. Usyk just beat as well. So there's people coming through and shaking the tree.
Yeah, very nice.
Doesn't need to be said. Obviously, all these fights you're ranking are below the Jake Paul fights, though, right? They're the best fights that have ever happened.
Yeah, of course, 100%. He's probably
Very
making
good.
just as much.
He probably is too, yeah.
Oh, mate, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
So the thing is, right, you look at that and people say, oh, Conor McGregor, rah. The dude made $100 million. You can't knock him for it. You know what I mean?
At least,
I'd be an absolute fuckwit as well if I was making $100 million.
Mate, I
You know
do
what I
some bad things for that much money, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So good luck to it.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Okay. First.
All right, so before we get out of here, I've just got the heads up. You got a clothing label here. So
Yeah.
is there anything you can tell us about that? How you got around that? What inspired you to do that? And just a little bit of a plug for what you've got going on.
Well, firstly, as I said, my first ever fight was the cage fight. And I sat in the crowd just after I fought. And there was literally a guy sitting in front of me. And I heard him talking about me. And he was trying to explain me to his mate. He's like, oh, you know, that big bald guy with the tattoos. I'm like, well, that's not going to be a thing. You know, I need to come up with something. So my last name's Browne. So I'm a father of 3. So Big Daddy Browne. I thought, I like that, obviously.
Nice.
So I put it out there on Facebook and stuff, and I got good response back. So I drew something up, and obviously it didn't look the way that it does now. I took it to my tattooist, and he cleaned it and all the rest of it. So the B with the D and the crown and all the rest of it, that was the calling sign, you know what I mean? So at least people could say, oh yeah, Big Daddy and stuff like that. So that's how it sort of came up.
Nice.
I've been through probably 3 or 4 different places to get shirts done, and obviously quality wise and price and everything else. So at the moment I'm getting them through Thailand. They're a nice like a dry fit material. Got all the sponsors and stuff on the back. So the link is through my Instagram. I obviously share it all the time through my Facebook and stuff, but I've got 3 different styles of shirts. There's the circle one with Big Daddy written on it. There's the Team Big Daddy one, and I've just came out with a nice one from Skay, my mate Skay. He did the Big Daddy bit in graffiti, so I've put that on there. Yeah,
Nice.
For the younger fellas, because I'm hip and shit.
You're one of the boys.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I've got that. I brought out some masks as well. There was the same with the graffiti and the team and all that on it. No one's bought them at all, but they're there.
Like your mask.
As well as the Big Daddy hemp oil.
Yes.
It says hemp oil because you can't say CBD because, you know, legally and all this sort of stuff. So
that, yeah.
it's the same shit. It's just hemp oil.
Nice.
So that's all on my link in my bio in the Instagram. And again, whenever I share it on Facebook and stuff, I always put the links through. So yeah, that's me.
Very nice. Will you guys
We'll try and get producer Josh to chuck a link in there or into
we're
the story that we post.
do a link up for that, yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. But make sure you guys hop on and check that out. But mate, the last question we have that everyone gets on this show, it determines the kind of man that you are. And I'm probably not going to argue with you, but there's only one correct answer. Do you keep your tomato sauce in the cupboard or the fridge?
Nah, cupboard. All day cupboard.
Oh, what is?
Oh no!
Oh no, that's the wrong answer, man. Oh my god.
No.
No.
This whole thing was going so well. Now we can't hear it.
Use the tomato sauce anyway.
It was going so well. I think you ruined it.
No. I'll be honest with you. I've got U Foods is the place that I get my meals from. So I get about 20 U Foods meals a week.
Yep.
I don't touch the tomato sauce anyway, so I fuck it off in the cupboard.
It stays in the cupboard, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Thinks you'll let you off, then he won't come after you now.
That's you off. The 2 of us are in the fridge, and we've got a third host on the show, and she keeps it in the cupboard. So if she was here, she'd be all over you, mate. She would love it. But at the moment,
she sounds like a top
wrong.
chick.
She's not. No, she's not. She's terrible.
Does it make a difference if I keep my Tim Tams in the fridge?
Oh, there you go. That you should.
Tim Tams are in the fridge.
Definitely, yeah.
Double coated Tim Tams always.
Yeah, double coated.
Double coat, the best one there is. Good man.
I got points back. Nice.
You win back points. Nice work. Very good. Right, look, mate, thanks very much for coming on the show. Hopefully your next fight is coming up again soon. I know it was supposed to be end of this month, but it'd be very nice to see you back in the ring very soon. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I'm talking to people like the Jamie Myers and the Angelo DiCarlos of Australia. So hopefully we'll get 2 or 3 in Australia and take it from there. So at least people can see me fight again, and hopefully it'll take longer than a round like it did the Gallen fight.
All over it. Very nice. All right, mate.
Luck,
thanks
man.
again. Cheers.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, boss.
For Shane Warne. He's done it.
We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in